analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
It is our pleasure to welcome you to Atlantic Television Network right here in the Garden City of Port Harcourt. Good morning to you. It's going to be a beautiful day. There are too many signs already. This is Atlantic Blowout, and it's a syndicated live program of the network that features chit-chatting and conversations on special interest topics, on news events, and even stories through correspondence reports. We look at experts' opinion and also stakeholders' analysis. We'll talk about this story that's coming straight from the Niger Delta, where it states that states explore framework for regions' development. And then on internally generated revenue (IGR), Presidential Committee proposes tax exemption for manufacturing 792 liters of petrol in Badagry. And then on the economy, luxury jets for Tinubu is a wasteful expenditure, PRP. On education, ASU urges federal government to implement 2009 agreement. And then we'll take a story from business, where it states that Nigeria loses 95 trillion naira as multinationals exit. This is a statement by Peter Obi. We'll take a short time out, and when we return, we'll introduce our guests and find out more about what they have to say about these stories. Please do stay with us.
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics.
Nobody's ambition is what's the blood.
I have fought very firmly.
Natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human
on the point of order.
Honorable they are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
you so much for standing right here with us on Atlantic Blowout. Let's quickly introduce our guests in the studio. I have a very good morning to you, Chief.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Welcome.
Thank you.
You look amazing.
Yes.
Like the chief that you are.
Thank you.
And then I have on my right Dr. John Idumange. He's a rights activist, a lawyer, a journalist, an arbitrator, a management consultant. Good morning to you, Dr. John.
Good morning. I'm not a lawyer, a lecturer.
Yes, I said lawyer. Oh yes. My God, I meant to say lecturer. I beg your pardon. How are you doing today, Dr.
We are
John?
fine. You know, we have been doing this business for upwards of 3 decades.
I would like to take Royal Chief on this particular story. What do you have to say about this meeting by states for the development of the region?
For me, I think it's very sad.
The meeting is sad?
It's very sad that in Niger Delta, the money that is coming into Niger Delta states, we have not seen any projects that we can mention that this money, 13% derivations, and all the money that is coming into this Niger Delta state cannot be measurable with what we are seeing on ground. So the Brace Commissions, for me, is a multiplicity of purpose with the NDDC, because the NDDC is already there, and then if they are coming to tell us their policies, the harmonized policies of state, I don't think that is possible, because the topography of each state is not the same. Right? For instance, you're talking about the benefit of the people. A lot of concentrations and research has been done on that particular project, and they say that it's viable and it's for the good of the people. But you see, successive government will come, abandon the project, and nobody is talking about it. The person can come and say that was not part of my own blueprint. I don't want to do rural electrification, for instance. My own, I want to focus on education. And you abandon some to electrify all the Niger Delta's communities. Are we going?
These states can come together and put resources together. For instance, way back in 2005, I was in NDDC then. I was a manager in NDDC. We came up with this coastal road project. You know that NDDC alone cannot do it. So it needed the buy-in of the states, the NDDC states, the coastal states, from Ondo State, from Lagos, Ondo, and down to the Niger Delta. Now, beyond this, the aim of the Brace Commission was to, articulate ideas. If one state alone cannot, execute a massive project, these states will come together and take their matter to the federal government to see what the federal government can do by way of partnership, by way of the Brace Commission, federal government partnership, and so on. Now, from 2010, when it was established till today, it's about 14 years now. Not long ago, the Brace Commission also held in Bayelsa. They have been rotating the hosting rights like that. This one was in Uyo. As laudable as those projects may seem, I think they are doing too much of talking without action. Too much of talking without action. Now, we can identify some regional projects, such as power supply, very critical. We can also identify, take for instance the East-West Road. It's a regional project.
Yes.
But look at the condition of the East-West Road. It is still as bad as it used to be, although the federal government has made some effort through the Ministry of Niger Delta to do some work, but it is still very shabby. Now, I expect at this time, the Brace Commission to come together to say, see, in this period of economic cost of living crisis, let us embark on agriculture. And they can decide on the crops they want to. Let's say, okay, in the whole of this region, let us capitalize on 3 crops. Cassava, it may be sugarcane, and so on. So that way, the value chain, not only will they produce them, but they will also bring in machines
Why do you think that is? Because you've said you've not seen much action from the Brace Commission. You have only heard talks and beautiful ideas being put on the table. Why do you? Because if this commission is there, it is actually for a reason which you have taken your time to explain.
Yes.
All of what they're supposed to be doing, and this is not something that they are not aware of. And it's a beautiful idea which could actually develop the Niger Delta if we come to look at it. If there are more actions, but why do you think it's more of talk than action?
If you give birth to a child that is 14 years old, that child should be in at least, if it's a lazy child, it should be in GS3.
Yes.
So what they have been talking since 2011, since June 2011 dates, so that whether there is a change in government or not, people will proceed. If, for instance, we have initiated a road project cutting across the Brace states, even if new governors come on board, they will abide by that agreement signed by their predecessors. That way, there can be continuity. But for now, like I said, it is a talk shop.
All right, let's look at this next story now. The chairman of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, Taiwo Oyedele, has said that the committee has proposed its manufacturers and farmers be exempted from paying withholding tax as a way of reducing the tax burden of businesses. Now, he disclosed during a public consultation workshop on the proposed changes to the national tax policy in Lagos. And according to him, withholding tax is the most difficult to comply with in Nigeria, and this is due to its complexity. Now, he explained that the proposal had already been signed and will be made public shortly. According to Oyedele, other regulations proposed by the committee include pegging the customs duty exchange rate with the exchange rate in the 2024 budget, which is 800 naira per dollar. Now, he said that the frequent changes in the custom duty rate do not favor any form of long-term planning, and it's detrimental to business operations. Tax waiver now. Let's look at this. Is this something that we should embrace, which is also actually going to be beneficial to businesses and farmers now, if they're exempted?
Yes, I think it's a laudable steps for me. I think it's a very good one because we encourage investors to come into the every areas of business, and then you see that multiple taxations in this country are hindering a lot of businesses, mostly our indigenous business people. They have hindered most, like this thing is specifically for farmers. I know we are talking about food security and all that, and if the federal government have seen that, if we holding taxed, which is a compulsory tax that you must pay indirectly by every employer. Every employer has to pay, because if they accumulate it like they do in when you have
Yes, Dr. John, for you.
Rightly so. You know, when in this kind of chaotic economic situation, when we are at the precipice, you know, slippery slope, one thing the government can do to mitigate the suffering of the people and to encourage investors is to give companies tax holidays. Or, in fact, in America and other places, agricultural products are not taxed. Yes, you don't impose tax on them. The only point where you impose taxes when you are maximizing the value chain, maybe when you are, you know, processing. But if today you are producing corn, nobody will tax you for producing corn. But it is when you want to use that corn to produce cornflakes and so on, like Indomie companies, it is at that point you begin to pay what? Tax. But remember, in Nigeria is essentially a country that is suffering from what we call the Dutch disease. Nigeria is essentially a primary food crop producer. We don't.
When you were here, in fact, when I wanted to call you in for this story, I was going to say that you were saying give tax holidays to businesses. Let's encourage businesses to grow. Let's encourage business. And this is a move. It just seems like the government actually heard what you were saying that day. And now you're saying this.
No, don't.
As much as.
No. What I'm saying is that it is not the situation we are now. We are in a state of emergency. If Nigeria were a patient in the hospital, that person Nigeria should have been in the intensive care unit. So tax holiday or withholding tax in agric and so on, is just a palliative measure. The fundamental issues have not been addressed.
What are the fundamental issues?
The fundamental issues are, number one, the forex regime.
Cannot even eat 2 square meals, some Nigerians now, or no norm. And then they are saying increase the minimum wage like Labour has requested. But then we have other people on the other side who are saying if the minimum wage is increased right now to whatever amounts the federal government are requesting or saying they will, that costs of goods will go up. That inflation will now be another issue. We'll be looking at more inflation in Nigeria if the minimum wage is actually increased. So what do you think about these two sides, and what do you think the federal government should do at the moment?
I think when we talk about, let me go back to the Brace Commissions. I was expecting a thing like this from the Brace Commission, that we have come together as Niger Delta states. This minimum wage is something that we need to look at. If they start to look at it from a regional perspective, which is mandated by law as a governor of a state. So align everything, talking about the federal government, like now we're talking about local government. What are they doing to assist the state government? What are the state government also doing to assist the federal government? If you meet any state governor now, they will shift the blame to the federal government.
And if you meet the local governments,
they will say the governor is not.
How much can the local governments do? Because I've gotten questions like that. Oh, how much can the local government do? How much funds are they? Do they have autonomy?
You see, like, we are here because we want to make things work for Nigerians. We are here because we want to change the narratives of how people do things. If you are into politics, like I've said this morning on one platform, the party is completely a business.
It was through direct labor. Every day the youths were going on with 10,000, 12,000, 15,000 naira. That way money started flowing. I can mention about 12 projects that we have done through direct labor. So while we are looking for a long-term measure to curb this issue of unemployment, deficit financing is another way. While we are talking, the workers are talking of a minimum wage. The other folks who are not working can be catered for either through SME loans and through deficit financing. That is it.
So when you talk about the economy being on the edge, doesn't that, although we have been told time and time again that there's no money in the federal government right now. So when I have a guest who is actually advocating that they share 500,000 or 1 million.
Oh, okay.
So where is the money coming out from? Is it from the same purse where we are told there's no money?
Look at
That's
it.
where you're saying.
Look at it. This Joe woman, listen to me.
This is woman talking to me.
If there is no money, there's no money. Yet they are increasing the salaries of senators by 300%.
Then we're buying.
There is no money.
We're buying SUVs.
They are buying SUVs. There is no money. They are planning to buy aircrafts.
Jets.
There is no money. Yet 5.4 trillion naira going on subsidy. Are you aware that the debt profile for the past 3 months again, when Tinubu took office, our debt stood at about 87 trillion.
And you also said that on June 14, and all of that. Okay. So now let's look at this Nigerian custom intercepting 26,792 liters in Badagry. When we talk about the state of the economy and what's going on, corruption, we always like to look at what the government is doing and what the government is not doing. But then when we look at other sectors, we get to find out some underplays going on there. And sometimes some of these movements and some of these actions are also carried out by ordinary Nigerians who are not in the leadership class. So let's get your thoughts on this, sir.
I have questions to ask, and I will answer the same questions because did PMS, did they steal them? Did they buy it from a filling station? That is one question I want to ask, because this is not through our borders. It is illegal. Are you getting me? But the question I'm asking, from the point of purchase and to who is selling them, where are the people? Where are the prime suspects? The people that are selling things that is illegal to a illegal buyer, selling a illegal seller, selling to a legal buyer. Why can't we trace to that point so that we can stop it? We're talking about stopping corruptions. You don't stop these things, You only arrest these people, and by the time you are still discussing.
When I saw the way when NNPC became a limited company, I suggested the removal of Mili Kyari, who is the MD or CMD, and so on. There are criminals in NNPC who connive with people. They get this PMS petrol cheaply and they smuggle it and make supernormal profit. And this is why I keep saying that when President Tinubu said Nigerians should see reasons with him, we should sacrifice. Am I going to put my neck on the table for you to cut off before you know that I'm making sacrifice? Or should I now go and commit suicide to know that I'm committing sacrifice?
He did not say that you should be the sacrifice. He only said be sacrificial.
Should I now be should I now be the ram you are going to use for your Salah sacrifice?
Dr. John, he didn't say be.
If the ruling class continues this way, I am not talking of a revolution now, but it will get to a point they will push the youth to such a level that there will be mass protests, and it will be detrimental to the health and the stability of this country.
Let's look at some of the things that we have on ground that are encouraging some of these corruption or corruption practices that are going on in some sectors and areas of the economy in Nigeria. Because from Dr. John's explanation, even yours, it shows that in almost every sector, like I stated before I asked you the question now, there's this corruption practice going on here and there. So do we have things?
And you find me guilty of any crime I've committed, no amount of bribe that can save me. And that will serve as a deterrent to any person that wants to take that my path. Because we are all role models to the society. So if I find my way, like the doctor was saying, that if you are smart, if I can find my way out of any crime I've committed against humanity, against this country, and I find my way out, other people will still come and consult me that you were in the so position. How do you do it? And I will render consultancies on how to maneuver. So, so corruption in the judiciary is the problem we are having. If we have persons that have committed crime and the anti-graft agency have found that you committed a crime after due investigations, and you have found they push your case to the judiciary, that is it's just like one of my subject was telling me, I know, Chief, you are going to arrest me, but when you arrest me and I go to correctional center, I will enjoy myself there because it is better for me to go there than to be killed. So if you arrest me, you are even saving my life. Wow. I will be there till the crime, the period that we are having issue will pass over, and I will still come out. So when you arrest a corrupt leader, within the time, maybe after the government has, it will becomes the next campaign chairman of one political party, or they will find way and say, oh, this is a viable person. If we can bring this person up, so we need to tackle.
How can we even fight that? Because we have heard Nigerians complain that sometimes you find out that maybe someone who's being probed, who probably held a leadership position in one area or the other, and then is being probed after office, often during office, and then after a while, we don't hear anything about the case anymore. And then the next thing you see is that he's holding another leadership position.
Yes, that is.
So how do we
if for instance, not like we keep saying here, Trump matter is accelerating. It's going on as let's say every day. If you have, because before a matter is being taken to the court, I believe the security agency have finished their investigations, and they say, okay, we have done our part. You do your part. You will keep adjourning matters that you can also look at immediately. And if you see volumes of cases, like now they say we have gone
for pure water, corruption. Now beyond that, go to the universities. Great racketeering going on. So many students no longer write their projects. True. Yes. Some people even stay abroad to attend school here, and you see them making excellent results. At the secondary school level, principals have compromised. They have what we call special centers. So corruption has it's cancerous. Talking about the judicial, Lord Artin said a compromised judiciary, a corrupt judiciary is the midwife of tyranny. Because after all we have done and so on, the last hope should have been the judiciary. Yes. But when judges can be bribed to issue black market injunctions, when judges can be bribed to deliver judgment in the midnight When you know that nobody, maybe there are only spirits and ghosts around, you are deriving your money from the consolidated revenue fund, and they are well catered for, they will not be susceptible to petty bribes, 11,000 and so on and so forth. But because the judiciary itself is, so by restructuring, I mean, the soul of restructuring is to review the constitution. That is it. Because that is what every agency, police is corrupt, is because of the constitution. Governors are corrupt, is because of immunity, constitution. The president exercises powers like an emperor, constitution. So everything boils down to the fundamental ground norm, which is the constitution.
All right, let's take a short time out now. When we return, the conversation continues. We heat at the studio. It's a blowout here. So please stay with us. You do not want to miss any of
stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what the blood.
I have fought a very family.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
you human
on the point of order.
Honorable
you're a human
They are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
welcome back. It's that this wasteful expenditure and focus on delivering tangible benefits to Nigerian people. I remember the part where I told you to take note of, right? The reason for the purchase of these jets. Because while Nigerians are talking against it, it is also important that we know why these jets should have, they said they want to purchase the jets, right? All right, let's hear from you, Chief.
I think I'll look at this story from two angles.
Please do.
One, I think as human, we need to value our lives. And then if the presidency, they have seen that there's need to purchase a new aircraft, either we complain from here till tomorrow. Either they did not purchase the aircraft, they have the access to our resources, our money. So for me, I think if they see that the one we are using is old enough to be changed, because like we say that if you have a vehicle and you are using it, often using it, wear and tear will occur on that vehicle. It will definitely depreciate the value. And then the line they've been using this aircraft, the usage, we have to look at the usage, not the time involved. Or yes, we have to look at the usage, because you can have a property now like a vehicle, a machine, and you keep using it, the lifespan of that thing will definitely reduce. So if it had lasted for 19 years, and ought to have lasted for 35 to 20-something years, or 30 years.
Other countries, their presidencies just have lasted for that long.
How often did those people travel compared to Nigerians?
So we're always traveling.
Of course. Our president have not in any month. Complete 1 month sleep in Aso Rock. Every time is in another country, talking about economy, talking about business. Now, maybe the one that will be automatic auto-piloting, that nobody will even be there. Only the president will just sit and talk to the plane, and the plane will be moving. That I'm going to American airport. Take me there. And you will see the plane going. So for me, let's look at it from that angle.
Our president deserves that.
Of course, every Nigerians deserve the best.
Let's hear you, Dr. John.
Now there are 6 aircrafts in the presidential fleet. I have in fact, I had to take time to go through them. Boeing 737, another Gulfstream G550, and so on and so forth. There are also 6 helicopters still for the presidency. Now, report shows that the federal government spent 14.77 billion just to maintain the presidential aircraft in 11 months. Has gone beyond the rooftops. So many cars, will come to that, as many as 757 manufacturing companies in this country have left. Partly because of poor infrastructure, poor power supply, and difficulty in doing business. The tax regime and the messy foreign exchange regime. So, well, they can go ahead to buy. It is after all, what is the meaning of a miloko? A miloko means it's my what? Turn. It's their turn. You are holding a knife and a yam. But watch it. Nigerians are suffering. There is hunger in the land. If your priority is to buy a jet, a presidential, this is so that the president alone can go to the moon, it's okay.
No, the president actually going to represent the people.
Whether you go to the moon or the outer space, no problems. But know that Nigerians are suffering. Unemployment is rising.
You think the president is not aware?
If you are aware, you will act the way you know. You will act to reflect your consciousness. It appears what the people are suffering, it appears the presidency knows very little about what is going on in the society.
The president has been making statements concerning the economic situation in Nigeria.
See, let me tell you one thing in office is the moment you are governor, you always see what is happening outside through the eyes of the people who surround you. There are so many things the president may not know because they will shield him, put him in a cocoon. So he will find it difficult to even know what is happening.
Ahmed Nuruddin Al-Mustafa and Saidu Isha Abubakar, respectively. The union also called for immediate implementation of the Nimi BRICS Committee Now, according to the statement, report which was submitted to the federal government since 2022 after a series of negotiations under the legally approved method of collective bargaining and principles. Now, looking at this particular story and that particular committee that was mentioned, they discussed a lot of things like, excuse me, like the age range for retirement and the payment, increase in salary, a lot of things. If you look at the items that were actually discussed during that committee, you'd find out that if all of those things were met, we probably would not be having all of the ASU strikes that we have had ever since after that particular year. But let's get your thoughts now. You are a lecturer, so you're kind of like in the system.
Well, in Nigeria, collective bargaining ordinarily should lead to, the signing of collective contracts, which will be binding on both the universities, the ASU, and the federal government. But in Nigeria, the reverse is the case. In most cases, when agreements are signed, in utmost good faith, you see the federal government reneging on their promises. An agreement was signed way back in 2009. I think Nimi Briggs, the late emeritus professor Nimi Briggs, also played a role in signing so many agreements between ASU and the federal government. But in the late 80s and 90s, we saw a lot of many doctors being drained to Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and other countries.
It's still happening now.
It is happening now.
Yes.
In fact, it is getting to a point where, my sister, I don't know where to start from.
Okay, so
I think Nigeria is no longer ready to. Nigeria used to be the educational laboratory of the world, of Africa. Pakistanis, Indians, and so on, they used to come to University of Ibadan and other universities to attend school. Our educational, in terms of quality, we had a competitive edge over so many other African countries. But today, if you look at the top 10 universities in Africa, only University of Ibadan came 9. So, one of the requirements of becoming a professor is that about 25% of your publications must be in external journals out there.
We'll come back to you.
So let me conclude.
Okay.
ASU is not just fighting for salary. Listen, ASU is not about salary. It's about infrastructure. And, for us to have sustainable and quality education in Nigeria, the federal government should be able to address most of these things we are raising. I am also a lecturer.
Royal Chief, yes. Please go on.
I think the government should go ahead to implement the 2009 agreement, because every agreement the university has been not improved upon. It is something that will affect the educational sector, and that is why you see a lot of our children are saying that education is a scam. Because, for instance, you don't see lecturers in class because they need to source for the alternative ways of surviving. You see, most of the lecturers are not doing some research work, being a resource person in taking care of. Some of them will not leave their duty and be accepting political appointments. They will focus on the lecturing jobs and perform it excessively because, for instance, we are talking about incentive to workers. We've talked about minimum wage for workers. Everybody wants to put mouth. But when you come to lecturers, you say, oh, they are over demanding.
Probably because it has been going on and on and on. And
yes, go to public universities. Go and visit their offices.
People have said, just told them that they should look for alternative means to fund the university instead of solely depending or almost solely depending on.
I'm writing a paper which I will present in Ghana on the 5th of July. The title of the paper is The Dynamics of Funding Nigerian Universities, Implication for Quality. Now, there are so many other sources available to universities, apart from relying on the lean budgetary provision by the federal government. One is universities run consultancy services. They run sandwich programs and so on. In some cases, they partner with some, corporate bodies. But that is where we are. The federal government says we should admit people through JAMB and so on. And they will foot part of the bill. What we are saying is, the part of the bill they say they want to foot, they are not doing enough. And that is why, if you go to the classrooms, they are shabby. Yes. Go to some, when I live here, maybe I will visit a friend of mine in one of these universities. The office is I don't know.
So you're also asking for full autonomy for the universities?
We have been asking for autonomy since late 80s when I was in the university.
How is that going to improve education?
It will improve because...
I thought ASU said that they are fighting for the improvement of education in Nigeria.
For a long-term solution, if they give universities autonomy, we will now run the universities as business. Those who cannot afford, stay at home.
You understand? We have private universities. For those that cannot afford the private universities, we are in the public universities. Okay? So it is being prioritized in different areas. You hardly see some well-to-do people in the society, their children in the public universities. That is why you see, if we are talking about strike, they are talking about this. It doesn't concern government because many of their children are not in the public universities. They have went to where they have a full autonomy of controlling the school activities, and that is not what will be benefiting the entire Nigeria. Charging on school fees. This one will be charging